Hey dreamers, Anne Marie here from Big Dreams Homestead, and I have some huge updates for you guys. So, those of you that have been following along, you know that I stopped building on my tiny home and I went out to take care of my mom. What y'all don't know is, because I couldn't tell you because of HEPA laws, is that I let's see, in June, my mom wound up in the hospital, and she, 2.5 years ago, she had a stroke. A little over 2.5 years ago now, she had a stroke, and so she was wheelchair bound. And a family member of ours was taking care of her, living with her and helping her out around the house a couple hours each day. Um, in June, my mom went to the hospital, and she was told that she had a bleeding ulcer, and um, she had swelling in her legs from fluid on her legs. And she was then told that she had congestive heart failure and that they gave her 6 months to live. And my mom, wonderful independent woman that she was, told that nurse to shove it up her ass. Okay, so maybe I have to cut that part out. But that's basically what she told that lady. They wouldn't let anybody come visit her while she was in the hospital, which really she didn't like at all. She doesn't like being in the hospital. And so she checked herself out of the hospital. And they had suggested hospice to her, but she didn't want to have anything to do with that because no way was she going to die before her time. And she wanted to live to be 100. So she came home. She's still independent, going to do everything on her own, and just have my sister help her with the things that she couldn't do physically because of her um, earlier stroke. Well, things didn't work out with my sister, and my mom had to ask her to leave, and that's a whole other family drama stuff that I'm not going to get into. But when I got there, mom had no teeth because my sister's little baby puppy chewed them up. And so we were in the process of trying to get her dentures. Because she had no teeth, she wasn't eating well. She was mainly eating mashed potatoes and chicken pot pies and stuff like that. And so I went to go stay with her. At first I thought I was just going to be going over there a couple hours each day, helping her clean and prep for meals and stuff like that. It became apparent immediately that she needed someone with her overnight. And then it became apparent that, like, the very next day, that no, she needed somebody with her 24/7. And part of that was like the alarm went off in the apartment complex, and she couldn't get herself into her wheelchair and out of her apartment while the fire alarm was going off. And so we just decided that it was better for me to go over there and stay with her. Um, we just thought we were going to have more time before it got to that portion where she needed somebody 24/7. So I moved in July. I think it was like the third week in July. I moved in with her and started staying with her. And she started to get better immediately. She was eating better. We got her dentures done, so that took about another month. I think it was the end of August when she finally got dentures, and she really started eating well, but she started feeling a whole lot better. She was stronger. We got her a motorized cart that she could get around more easily in, stuff like that, and she was doing really good. So my hopes got up. And I did, during that 6 month period, I got to spend a lot of time with her, laughing and joking. And I mean, we literally laughed every day and every night. 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm waking up and going to help her to go potty, and we're giggling and laughing up a storm. We probably drove the neighbors nuts. But she was happy. She was going out and visiting neighbors that she had never seen the 2.5 years that she lived there before that, being more social and enjoying life. And then just before Thanksgiving, she took a turn for the worse. I think it was like the Monday, a week before Thanksgiving, that her legs suddenly gave out. In hindsight, we think she maybe might have had another stroke, but her legs started giving out, so she could no longer get up and go into her wheelchair and go to the bathroom, stuff like that. So then she was bedridden, and The Tuesday before Thanksgiving, she stopped eating altogether. Would just take sips of water on occasion, stuff like that. So we knew that it was going to come pretty quickly. I have put off doing this video because I didn't want to cry and break down on video, but anyhow, so we didn't think that she was going to make it to Thanksgiving. She did make it to Thanksgiving, but we didn't even do Thanksgiving dinner. She wasn't eating anything at that point. We were just giving her powdered medications to keep her comfortable. And she passed away on December 2nd. I was sitting in the chair next to her, and I heard her grunt, and I called my sister in, and then I got over on the other side of her, and so my sister was holding her hand, and I was holding her other hand, and she passed away just after midnight on December 2nd. And it's taken me this long to do a video and tell you all. After she passed away, we got to go through 80 years worth of memories and memorabilia and just stuff that she had kept over, and collected over the 80 years, and the memories behind all those. But my sister and I had to pack up her apartment and get her stuff moved out pretty quickly because my mom didn't have money or, assets or anything like that, and we had to get her stuff out of that apartment so that we weren't billed a lot of money for her rent. So somewhere around the middle of December, I moved back to the property and where I was building my tiny home. There was some discussions with other family members about that property and about that tiny home in between the middle of December and December 28th. On December 28th, the other property owner, so I was building this tiny home on property that was owned by my sister and her ex, and had full permission and all that stuff from my sister. There was no problems there. The idea was I was going to build this house and live there out the rest of my days of my life. The other property owner had different thoughts on that, and basically told me I need to get all my stuff off the property. So I started looking around for land in Washington and finding unrestricted land out there. The land is really, really expensive. A lot of the times you have to build a minimum 1,200 square foot house, all that stuff. So looking for land out there and moving the tiny home, the cost to move the tiny home was just astronomical. And so it became apparent very quickly that that wasn't gonna be a good place for me. So I started branching out and looking in other areas. I am currently, obviously, not in my tiny house. I am staying with a friend in this little off-grid cabin that she had purchased on land that she had. And I'm up here in the Ozarks looking for land. So that was those little videos that you saw of me traveling in the train. I decided instead of driving back here to look for land, I would just take the train back. I could stay with my friends and we can go out in all this area and look for land that's going to be appropriate for me, that's going to be in my price range, and that has no building restrictions. They don't care if you do a tiny house there. They don't care if you're off-grid. They don't care if you're water catchment, rain catchment, whatever. So that's where I am. I am now in the Ozarks, staying with friends, and we're going out each day and looking at properties around here to find my forever homestead, land in my name, that nobody else can come back out and say later on, 18 months down the road, oh, we don't want that here after all, get it out of here. So what the plan is now is to sell off the tiny home in Washington, get as much money as I can back out of it. It's not completely finished. I did do a lot of work on it since you guys last saw it. I put tongue and groove ceilings in the ceiling. I've done a sheetrock around the tiny house. So sheetrocked all the walls, stuff like that. And but then got told to cease and stop building on it altogether. So I do have a couple of interested people that are interested in buying the tiny home, whether or not they can afford to do that or afford to move it or whatever. All that is in God's hands now. I don't know what's going to happen with that. But the plan is now I came out here looking for land. I've found quite a few places that are very interesting to me. So getting ready to put in some offers and love the area here. It is just gorgeous. I have friends all around this area thanks to YouTube and the other homesteading communities. So, and then I have family that's not too far away. So I'm really feeling like this is the place for me, is in the Ozarks somewhere. I am looking at not only just bare land, but also maybe one that has a mobile home on it, so I could fix up an old mobile home, stuff like that. I don't know if I'll wind up off grid or if I'll wind up on the grid, or where I'm going with that right now, I don't know. You know, I may just do rain catchment, I may drill a well. It just depends on how much money I get out of the tiny house, and when I sell that, and what it is that I decide to do as far as land. You know, my main concern is land that's big enough that I'm not going to have neighbors right up, you know, my backside, and have view, and have the price of the land, of course, is going to play a lot into what I purchase. And so I'm just kind of taking my time out here. I just got here 2 days ago, helping my friends out, you know, as much as I can with projects that they're doing around their homestead. And she's driving me out to look at these properties. And she knows a lot about the land out here and what areas are unrestricted buildings and stuff like that. So, so that was the update that I wanted to give you guys. Is, you know, I know some of you are following me on Facebook, and I've had comments about, oh my gosh, you're going to leave everything behind and just start all over somewhere else. Well, I'm not leaving it all behind. My plan is to go back next month, pack up what I can, you know, put it in a U-Haul and pull my car and my tools and everything else that I can get out of the tiny house. Like, I still have the stove, the refrigerator, the bathtub. There's a lot of stuff that I've never installed in the tiny house that I already own, and I can bring that up here and put it into whatever I purchase up here, or I can sell it once I get it up here, stuff like that. So I'm not leaving everything behind. What I'm leaving behind is the other tiny house, because it just costs way too much to get it moved from one side of the states to, you know, 2,200 miles away to the other side of the United States. But I wanted to come up here and make sure that I liked the area, that I was going to be able to handle the heat, stuff like that. And right now, I'm like loving it. After being in Washington, where it rains 10 months out of the year, to be here where it's 50 degrees today, 47 degrees, whatever. It was just a beautiful day. It was a sunny day, and this is mainly what their winters are like. And to be able to work outside, which is where I like to live, is outside, not inside a tiny house. I'd rather be outside working in it, and sounds like I could do that 10 months out of the month and stay indoors those 2 months that it's going to be warmer. So anyhow, I wanted to give you guys all an update. You can follow along and watch where I start over from either very raw land with no electricity and no water, or maybe I'll wind up in a fixer-upper, or, you know, I don't know where it's leading me to yet, but I know that when I've seen a couple properties that have really pulled at my heart, and I think I know which one that I really, really want, but it's all in God's hands, and I know that no matter what, I'm going to be okay. So I wanted to give you guys this update. I know it's way overdue. I keep promising it, and each time I went to go sit down to do it, I got just a little bit too emotional, and it's getting a little bit easier without Mom. There's been a few times in the last 6 weeks that I wanted to call her up and get her opinion, especially on the family stuff that was going on, and realized that I couldn't call her and I would break down again. But But I know she's still with me, and so is my dad, and they're both guiding me through. And I know Mom will be there right over my shoulder, helping me build this tiny home, because she already told me that before she passed, was that she would be around and help me design it and decorate it and all that stuff, because she was really great at that. So before I break down crying again and don't get through this, I want to tell y'all, hang in there. I will have many, many more videos coming soon as I sell off the other, take the train trip, 5-day train trip back across the United States, and start selling off what I can and packing up everything else and downsizing. Don't want to pay a fortune to move stuff across the states that I could just as easily get used here. It doesn't make sense to pay all that. So, new things come in, starting all over again, but hopefully this is the very last time I ever have to start over again. And there are things that I learned on the first build that I can now do it correctly on the new build. So I'm really looking forward to it, and I will check in with you guys soon. Bye-bye.